to get actually into the substance, just in case people are coming late. But I see you're all enjoying canned soda, except more sensible ones with bottled water. And I want to tell you about a clinic case involving canned soda. Here we have what was a very important exhibit in our case. And I'm not just doing this to kill time. I want to illustrate for you the different type of class which clinic will be for you. This was a real case involving soda cans. Our client was in the business of international import and export on a very grassroots basis. He bought $20,000 worth of this soda, which filled up, I can't remember, 1 or 2 containers that they put on ocean-going ships, and he sent it to Africa. It was a 21-day ocean voyage. When it got there, it was offloaded onto a truck, driven through the jungle, put in a warehouse that had a dirt floor. This stuff was really in high demand there. He sold a lot of it. And as he started delivering it, a problem developed. The cans started releasing their contents. Not blowing up or bursting, but releasing the contents, which means it spilled out. And so he wanted to sue the bottler, the beverage manufacturer, and probably wanted to sue more people, but just targeted those 2. He sued them on his own. He's not a lawyer. And he got this suit going, and then he said, when things started happening, he's like, I better have a lawyer. Well, it was an interesting case, brought it into our clinic, and the students really enjoyed it because they got a chance to actually perform like lawyers. And what that means is they have a client who comes in knowing nothing about the law, literally, and just saying, here's my problem. I have bought $20,000 worth of these, wanted to resell them, they all blew up. And so I've sued the people, wasn't really sure of the theory, can you guys help me? So think about what the law students have to do to be able to help this guy. The first thing we have to do is figure out what went wrong with the container. Whose fault was it? Was it the ocean liner? Was it our client? Was it the bottler? Or was it the distributor of this particular type of beverage? So you see, what this does is it shows you that the students in the clinic have to figure out all aspects of problem solving. Clients don't come into the clinic with a stamp on their forehead that says, hi, I'm a civil procedure problem, or I think I've been the victim of a tort. No, they come in with something like this. You have to do the factual investigation, possibly the metallurgical investigation. You have to figure out whether it's a UCC problem, some kind of international thing. Is it breach of contract? Is it breach of warranty? And then you have to put the pleadings together, which involves civil procedure. Do you bring the suit in Africa? Do you bring the suit in New Hampshire? And so you're required to draw on all of the disciplines that you've been learning in your classroom, and you bring it to bear to solve the problem for the clinic, or for the client. That's what we do in the clinics. Now, what we're going to do during today's meeting, and I'm going to tell you the answer to this at the end of the just at the end of the session, just what the cause of action was and how we solved the problem in the clinics for this guy. But just so you know what we're going to do today, there's going to be a discussion about what's involved with taking a clinic, how many credits you get, what prerequisites they are. We're going to have a presentation by many of the clinical professors who are here today. And so you're going to know about all the clinical offerings. You also should learn what the prerequisites are, how you sign up, and what benefit it actually is to you beyond learning the lawyer skills necessary to solve soda can cases and the like. So, with that brief introduction, I'm going to first have Chuck Temple come up and tell you about the criminal practice clinic, which is one of our starship clinics, or premier clinics, because it is very demanding, as you will hear. So come on up, Chuck.
Great. If you need food, you can come up and get it as I'm talking. I'll just talk in front of you or talk around you, but there's plenty of lasagna, plenty of salad, and drinks and everything up here. So those of you, especially if you're here for the free food and don't even want to listen to this, just come up and get your food. I don't care. All right, the criminal practice clinic. The criminal practice clinic is 5 total credits. 3 for the clinic portion, 2 for a 2-hour class that you'll be in each week during the 14 weeks of the clinic. So 5 total credits. These are your prerequisites: Crim Pro, Crim Law, Evidence, Pro Res, Trial Ad. You can take some of these simultaneously, with the clinic, and I will waive some of these depending on your circumstances. So we can be flexible about those. However, CAMS is going to require that you have all these completed. If you don't, you need to email me, and I need to deal with Lori in terms of getting you an application into Rule 36 to do the clinic. What we do in the criminal practice clinic is we represent clients accused of Class A misdemeanor or felony level crimes in the district and superior courts across Merrimack County and Belknap County, as well as Hillsborough County, so sort of the southern and middle tier of the state. You represent these clients basically from post-arraignment all the way through trial and sentencing. If we try a case and there are appeal issues, the case then shoots over to the Appellate Defender Program to go up to the New Hampshire Supreme Court. So we work hand in hand with Chris in his office on some appellate level cases. Typical day, today's a typical day. At 9 o'clock we were in Belknap County Superior Court doing a felony arraignment. At 9:30 we were in Henniker District Court doing a restitution hearing in an animal cruelty case where the restitution amount was over $64,000. So the student and I and co-counsel were negotiating out a restitution agreement in that case, which was not easy to do, but we got that done. At 1 o'clock, we head back up to Laconia to try a simple assault case where our client is accused of walking up to a car that apparently was moving and punching the passenger in the face. So that's sort of a typical day in the life of the clinic. The student who's trying the case at 1 o'clock has worked all the cross-exam outlines, all the direct exam outlines, the closing. She's researched issues under Rule 609 of the New Hampshire Rules of Evidence because the state's 2 star witnesses have criminal records involving fraud. So for some fun reason, we'll be bringing those up today. But that's what you do. It's hands-on. You interview the client. You get the pleadings ready. You negotiate with the prosecutor. Liz Perry will try that case today. I will sit there. I'm injured. I'm hurt. I'm on the IR. I can't do anything today other than look like I'm really ill, hurt, and hopefully that'll help our client in some way with the judge. I'm not below that. But the bottom line is Liz is doing everything. Liz was in here at 7 o'clock this morning practicing the cross-exam outlines on me. We'll have a nice trip up to Laconia. She'll practice her closing 3 or 4 times on the way up in the car. I'm going to listen to music, but she can practice that. I really stress that it's an intense experience, but it's very hands-on. You will know how to practice when you come out of this clinic. And I don't teach it in a way that is just limited to criminal defense practice. I'm teaching it in a way where hopefully I'm giving you the tools to practice in the courtroom. It could be an IP infringement case, but you'll know how to try it. You'll know how to interview the witnesses. You'll know how to review the discovery. You'll know how to cross, direct. You'll know how to open, close, all of that stuff. Even down to the bare bones of how do we really practice? Who's really important in your law firm, right? Lynn and Ellen, the assistants, do a host of work down there, and you can start to get a feel for, well, how do I treat my staff? And how important are the staff? And it's crucial to learn how to do that. It really is. Docketing, time deadlines, all the stuff that goes along with the practice you're learning. And then finally I'll say it's a criminal defense clinic. I do not churn out criminal defense attorneys. I churn out a lot of prosecutors, a lot of private attorneys, and a good amount of people who go into public defender type positions. But I'm teaching it in a way that will bring you the skills you need. So there's the 5 prereqs, 5 credits, 5-credit class. I always say this in this presentation, so if you've been to it before, you won't laugh at this, but 5 credits for the criminal practice clinic. I don't know if there's any other 5-credit class at this law school. The dean tells me that it's tied to the quality of the teaching. So we'll end on that note. Any questions about the criminal practice clinic? Yes, Marie?
Is it offered every semester?
Yes, it is. It's offered in the fall, spring, and summer. A 10-week summer course. The summer is a great time to take it because I don't have any other teaching obligations, and there's a limited number of students in the summer, not limited by me, but other people have externships in that. It's a great 10-week experience. You'll have, instead of between 3 and 5 clients, you usually have about 10. It's a great experience. I do not talk to you on Thursdays because that's golf league day. Other than that, I'm available the whole time. Yes?
Are most of the participants in the clinic in their mid or after their mid-2L year?
Yeah, you really can't get in there until your second semester of your 2L year because of these prereqs. So most of the participants are second semester 2Ls, or for the most part, probably 80 to 90% of them are 3Ls. Yes? Yes, Lynn? Oh yes, that's great, thank you. Yeah, I actually have 2 clinics. It's the basic criminal practice clinic is your first time in. There is then an advanced clinic where you don't have a class portion to the clinic. It's 3 credits and you do felony level work. So for instance, I have a student now, Brenna, who is getting ready to pick a jury on Monday, and we will do the jury trial the following week. So she's working that all up, working with James, who's also a videographer, apparently. James and Brenna will be working that up for the jury trial. The actual jury trial is her responsibility. James, as a basic clinic student, is doing misdemeanor work, but I always pair the basic students with an advanced student so they get exposure to felony level work. But she will pick the jury, do the opening, do all the examinations, do the closing. She's already written the jury instructions. She does all of that. I'm just along for the ride. I think I dress pretty nicely. And you do the work. All right. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Chuck. All right. Let's see. I wanted to let Chuck jump in there because he does have to go up to Laconia for that trial. But what I'd like to do is give you a little more background about the clinics. And I also forgot to introduce myself. I'm Peter Wright. I'm the director of the clinical programs here. And I teach in the Consumer and Commercial Law Clinic. And let me just give you some general information about all the clinics. And then as the other clinicians speak, they can tell you anything unique to their clinic. So as I mentioned, it's a chance for you to start doing actual lawyering with real live clients. As you figured out, that's what you're working with in almost all the clinics. We do operate the clinics as a small to medium-sized law firm, and there will be probably 24 to 30 students down there at any time. And you've got the attorney supervisors, who are your professors, also providing a safety net. We try to have you do as much of the work as you can, interviewing the clients, doing the legal research, drafting the pleadings, doing the strategy, figuring out what to do, and then when appropriate, going to court or negotiating or mediating, as the case might be. So you'll learn a lot of the nuts and bolts of working at a firm, even if you never have, meaning we use the same systems for diarying or calendaring deadlines. We have the time and billing software. We have a trust account. We have to keep track of client money sometimes. And we use all the technology like Microsoft Word. Some of us use WordPerfect. We do electronic filing with the bankruptcy court, the federal court, and we do some work with electronic archiving. And as Chuck mentioned, you do get to work with our support staff, which is very important because when you go out on your first job, you want to know the culture of working in a small office. Beyond that, because you'll be doing so many practical skills, it is very good on a resume. You get to put down the semester when you worked in a particular clinic, and then when you do a cover letter, you should mention that, because when you have the interview and they pull that out, it's a favorite topic. It's an easy topic for your employer to talk about. Say, oh, I see you did a clinic. Tell me what you did. And that can be very useful for breaking the ice and actually letting you show how you shine with these skills. Some nuts and bolts. You're allowed to take up to 18 credits of both, or I should say, combination of externship experience and clinics, and still have all 18 count towards your 85 credits for graduation. Whenever you take a clinic, it's usually only 2 of those credits, even if it's a 4-credit or a 5-credit course, only 2 of those count against your 18. That's for the work in the law firm. The other 2 or 3 credits are for classroom work, and they're treated the same as any class. So you can do 1 or 2 externships plus 1 or 2 credits, 1 or 2 clinics, if you just pick wisely and schedule it well. For those clinics where you go into court, there is a procedure through the New Hampshire Supreme Court, which licenses lawyers, to give you as a student, as participating in one of our clinics, a special limited certificate to enable you to appear in court. It's called Rule 36. There's some paperwork you fill out before you start one of these clinics, just so you're able to do that. All right. Let's see. I'm going to stop talking about nuts and bolts. I'll come back and talk some more a little later because I have to cover intellectual property business because Ashland's at another meeting. But I'd like to have Chris Johnson come up now and tell you about the Appellate Defender program and clinic.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you. So I'm Chris Johnson. I'm the Appellate Defender in New Hampshire. And what that is, it's a unique program that our law school has that no other law school has, which is that we're partnered with the Office of First Resort for Representation of Indigents in criminal cases. So the Appellate Defender is a joint venture of the law school and the New Hampshire Public Defender. And so when you participate with us, you'll see that there's about 6 or 7 or sometimes more lawyers over there who are public defender employees who work in the law office and work with the students along with me. Because we are the appellate defender for the state and the institution of first resort for appeals, we do every kind of case where anybody has an appeal of right to the New Hampshire Supreme Court. And so we have everything from Class A misdemeanors to capital murder. And the students work on the cases with us. It's unlike the other clinics in a certain sense in that the nature of your tasks as an appellate lawyer are much more focused on research and writing. And so if that's a skill that you really want to hone up, we're a good place to do that. But we also try to engage you in the other aspects of appellate representation. So you can go to the prison and meet with a client. You'll do an oral argument, a moot within our office of the case, the brief that you write. The Supreme Court has allowed law students now to do oral arguments in real cases in the spirit of Rule 36. And we're looking for an opportunity for that to happen. Basically what would happen is you would take the clinic for a semester, and if you are interested and we can find the right case, and you're committed to doing this, we may be able to get you to do the oral argument in one of our cases in the New Hampshire Supreme Court. Let's see, what else? We, in addition to being in the New Hampshire Supreme Court, we also do a sort of a pro bono work, some federal habeas matters. And so we have had lawyers in the last couple of semesters in the district court, United States District Court for New Hampshire. And now David Rothstein, who is a lawyer in my office, has got an argument in the First Circuit next week. And he's had students working with him on that in the past semester. So we are even beyond the New Hampshire Supreme Court in the appellate representation that we provide. Prerequisites. It's typically a clinic that people take in the second semester of their second year or in the third year. I'm a little more flexible on prerequisites than Chuck is because of the different nature of the clinic. But basically, these are the things you would want to take to do the criminal practice, to do the appellate defender clinic. You wouldn't necessarily have to have all of them, but you would want to have one or two, at least 1 or 2, or maybe 3, before you came into the appellate defender, because this is our bread and butter. It's criminal procedure, it's evidence, it's criminal law. I guess you wouldn't need trial advocacy. Appellate advocacy, however, could be a useful thing to take before you come to the appellate defender.
Chris,
yes.
do you offer the appellate defender program in the summer?
Yes, yes. We're happy to. I think there's an aspect of that question which is above my pay grade, and I'm not sure whether this. Sometimes the school makes it available in the summers, but we, so I think if enough interest is in it to take it in the summer, we would certainly be willing to offer it. I think that would happen, and it has happened sometimes in the past. We cap the clinic at about 6 students per semester, so you really have a one-on-one working relationship with the lawyers. they are working on the brief at the same time you are. And so it's sort of the philosophy of the clinic is an apprenticeship model where the experienced craftsperson and the apprentice are sort of working together on the same problem side by side. And so you can get feedback from a lawyer who's facing the same problems you are, and doing it there at the same time. I think it's 3 credits.
Oh, does it satisfy the upper level writing?
Yes, I think it does. I hate to be wrong about things, but my understanding is it does. It maybe used to not to, but it's now graded clinic also, so it does. Anybody else? Yes.
Is it divided up into a class component and then the actual clinical?
There is. The way David Rothstein sort of has taken the lead on the class component for the last few semesters, and so the way he's done it lately is there's sort of a first part of the semester at the mutual convenience of everybody. There'll be about a class a week, and then that ends, and so you start. It's sort of a brief classroom. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Chris. All right, got one other prof here. And I just want to give you a few more nuts and bolts. You heard that some of these clinics will be offered this summer. That's true. The term runs from May 23rd, that's a Monday after graduation, until July 29th. It's 10 weeks. And then most of the clinics are 4 credits. We end up compressing the experience. During the regular school year, you probably work 6 hours a week in the law firm. During the summer, you work 10 hours a week. And it's also compressed in that we meet Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you just have to fit your 10 hours in over Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. We try to have you do them on 3 different days because it makes it easier for you to meet with clients. And in addition, there's a class which will be at least 2.5 hours during the summer because, again, we're compressing 14 weeks into 10. So instead of a 2-hour, which we have during the regular school year, there'll be a 2.5-hour class. To sign up, you do it through CAMS. I think it opens April 1st. Now, one thing you might want to know about is grading. How do we grade? Grading is definitely different from your regular law school classes. It tends to be more holistic. It is not anonymous. Think about it. It can't be because we're grading your performance. There are no final exams. So it's all based on how much you improve your skill set during the semester, how much work you actually put out, and how you improve in producing that work. I know that I think most of the clinicians don't grade so that you're in competition with other people. That's because some of you have already worked in a law firm. Some of you have more skills when you come in. So we have to treat you individually. So it wouldn't be fair otherwise. Instead of the final exam, one of the things you do is you keep a journal, and you turn the journal in at the end of each week. And the journal is to capture the insights you have gained, the reflections you've had about what you're learning, and you really do have all sorts of insights through this experience. All right, so next, I'm going to invite Stan Kowalski, Dr. Kowalski, to come up. He runs the International Technology Transfer Institute, which is for those of you with a pretty solid background in patent law and bio and pharmaceutical. Stan, come on up.
Thanks, Peter. The clinic that I supervise deals with intellectual property in the context of intellectual property management, patent landscape analysis, patent mining, and the concept of intellectual property in terms of global development. So what we do is we have a couple different projects. We do patent analysis, patent landscape analysis of critical innovations in health and agriculture. For example, our patent landscape projects have involved HIV vaccines, patents on HIV vaccines, and that work will be published in a medical journal in the near future, a journal called Vaccine. And that was a 2-year project where we looked at numerous HIV vaccine platform technologies, did extensive patent analysis, and assembled a package of what the landscape is, who are the patentees, who's involved in the field, where is it patented, things of that nature. This type of information is of critically importance to organizations like the World Health Organization, who are interested in where patents are in effect and where they aren't in effect in terms of global health. We've also worked on neglected disease patent landscapes such as dengue fever. Most of you probably don't know what dengue fever is. Has anybody ever heard of dengue fever? Somebody has. Yeah, Jackie. If you live down in southern Florida, you've probably heard of it because it's moving into the United States. It's a mosquito-borne disease which produces, it's a mosquito-borne viral infection which produces some very serious symptoms, especially in children. It produces hemorrhaging and kills them. And we did a patent landscape analysis of that because it's of interest to organizations like the Gates Foundation. So we do, one aspect of our clinic is to do the patent landscape analyses of innovations in health and agriculture, which are of importance to developing countries. A related aspect of our work, and they interrelate, is student teams look at problems related to building intellectual property and innovation management in developing countries. So we've done projects on asking the question, how can we help African countries to build innovation in IP management and tech transfer, technology transfer, institutions and human capacity so that it helps to bring these innovations in. Because intellectual property has to be managed. It's an asset and it's a tool as well as something you protect. Once you protect it, you have to do something with it. So we're working with developing countries to help them to build those kind of capabilities. We've worked with Zimbabwe, we've worked with Colombia, and we've worked with Vietnam, Southeast Asia. So in a more of a practical sense, what do the students do with me? Well, we get together and we do the patent landscape analyses. We do that all together as a team. We also work together as teams to try to understand how to develop strategic plans to build innovation capabilities in developing countries. Then what do we do with it? Well, over the last few months, we've been very busy. In December, a student team and I traveled to Washington, D.C., where we presented to 3 organizations, the United States Department of Commerce, the World Bank Group, and to the White House. That's the Office of Science and Technology Policy. We presented to them our strategic plans on building innovation and IP management tech transfer capabilities in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Southern African region. That was one project we did, and I went there to DC in December with 4 of our students. Then in last month, I took a group of 5 of our students to Geneva, Switzerland, where we presented a project we had worked on called the Essential Medicine List Patent Landscape. The essential medicines are medicines which the World Health Organization believes and recommends need to be in every hospital in the world, and we did a patent landscape of that and presented it to a joint symposium of the World Trade Organization, the WIPO, and the World Health Organization. So, and I put the students right up front. And if you want to know more about that, let me know. We have a URL with all the videos and the presentations, and that's all there. And then a few weeks ago, me and a group of students went to Las Vegas, Nevada, to the Association of University Technology Managers. This is basically LES for nonprofit organizations. And we went to that meeting. 3 of our students won scholarships, and we presented a poster on the work we do here with patent landscapes for vaccines.
What prerequisites?
Prerequisites, if you're really interested in the patent landscape work, you should take John Kavicki's patent mining class. He teaches it in the summer, and now he's teaching it during a school year in 2 semesters. So John Kavicki teaches that. I highly recommend it. I think it's basically a prerequisite unless you can show us that you've had patent searching, mining, landscape experience from a law firm, something of that nature. That's for those projects where we do the patent landscape. For the international development in IP, I like to see people have a solid background in IP. When I say solid, maybe 1, 2 courses here at least, or previous work experience, Plus, I need students who are motivated and proactive, because these projects are complicated and we all have to work together to make them happen. When we get out to a place like Geneva and we're facing the World Health Organization or WIPO, we have to be ready and we have to be professional, because the credibility not only of us as individuals but the school is on the line. So far, so good. So, and if you're interested in working with us, you take a look at the course description online. It will say permission required. So every student that comes into our clinic, ITTI, I need to talk to you. So don't register without talking to me. I've had students who register and I send them 5 emails, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. They're not going to sneak in. Have to come talk to me. Send me your resume, let's talk, see what your interests are, and see if it's the right fit. And that's how we run it. It's 2 plus 2, 2 class, 2 clinic. We're always available and we're always online. We use Skype, we use Google Chat, constantly communicating with the students to move the projects forward. I think that sums it up. Is there anything else?
Are you offering it this summer?
Yes, summer with less students. Normally we have 8, but we're going to ramp it back a little bit. But let me know if you're around in the summer and we can talk.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Thanks, Peter.
All right. All right, now, I did want to mention that, I think I mentioned you register with the clinics on campus. What about the summer? All right, sometimes when you read the course description, and you'll want to know when is the classroom component to see if it fits in. If you're doing IPSY, or you have a summer job, and you're going to see TBA or TBD, it just means that most of the clinicians get the class together very early in the summer. And we figure out what's a time to hold the 2.5-hour class that accommodates everybody's schedule. That's why you won't know. But don't be put off by that. We're actually accommodating, because you can take a clinic with a 10-hour commitment, probably more with the criminal practice, but over those 3 days, and do IPSY, and take, I'm not sure what other courses are offered, but usually you can work that out. Students inevitably want to know about Ireland, and we'd have to check on that, because I'm not sure the dates for the Ireland or the CHIPSY program this year. We'd have to check on that. All right. Now, I'd like to tell you about the Intellectual Property and Business Transactions Clinic. That clinic is supervised by Ashlyn Lembry. She's one of the full-time professors here. She has a lot of experience in the area. Used to work for Wigan & Norrie, a big firm down in Manchester. And the types of cases that that clinic handles would include copyright, trademark, trade name, licensing, and then almost any kind of business transaction that might come to us from clients who are either trying to market, say, music or art or photography, or maybe they've written a play or a book, and they tend to be, as you can figure out, small stakes enterprises. In other words, we're not representing major businesses or businesses who should be able to hire their own attorney. So we're helping the little startup or the, like I say, the musician or artist. We get some interesting cases in that clinic. We did one of the music download cases, and in fact, Ashlyn's clinic and my clinic handled that together because it was litigated in federal court, and her clinic did all the technical research on the issues involving copyright. It is a 4-credit course. It is offered this summer. The prerequisites are going to be copyright, trademark, BA, and ProRes. Sometimes Ashlyn will allow you to take one of those prerequisites concurrently with taking the clinic. Yeah, I think I mentioned it is offered this summer, and of course it's offered in the fall and the spring. It's a year-round clinic. There's also a different clinic now, mediation clinic. That has traditionally been offered in the fall. It is a 3-credit offering. In that clinic, you learn how to serve as the mediator as opposed to learning how to represent somebody in the process, although there might be some discussion of that in the classroom component. Now, the way that works, there's a boot camp where for an intensive part of, it's either 2 Saturdays or 2 Fridays in a row, you participate in roughly the same training that a member of the bar would participate to become certified to be a Rule 170 mediator. And then once you have that training on your background, you're expected to conduct 6 mediations as the mediator in either Concord District Court or Manchester District Court. And this is performed under the supervision of a faculty member. It's probably Peter Wolf, who's an adjunct. But he used to run the Rule 170 mediation program for the New Hampshire court system until he retired about a couple years ago. Again, 3 credits. It's limited to 6. It's only offered in the fall. And I'm not sure if there's any prerequisites to that or not. There may not be. No, okay. All right. Now, that brings us to, there's actually, I'll tell you about my clinic, which is the Consumer and Commercial Law Clinic. In this clinic, it's a 4-credit. It's offered all semesters, fall, spring, and summer. I have no prerequisites. Why? Because this is at least one clinical offering where those of you who have just finished your first year as of May can take the clinic. And what I do, instead of requiring professional responsibility, one of the early classes, we go over those rules that lawyers must operate under, the rules of professional conduct. We just go over the ones that you really need to know about to avoid making any that type of mistake during your clinical experience. And then the way I work it, I have a basic and an advanced clinic. In the basic clinic, if we go to court, you second chair. That means you help me, and I might let you do a direct exam or possibly a closing, but you're not responsible for the case as you would be in Chuck's clinic in a criminal defense where you have all the prerequisites. And I structure it that way just so there is an opportunity for the 1Ls, for those who just completed 1L. Then in the advanced clinic, which is usually offered in the spring, students who have completed the basic clinic can come in, and then they can have the opportunity to do a trial themselves if they want to. You're not required to. We don't push you off the end of the dock. We let you take as much responsibility as you can. This summer, May 23rd, first day of class, we're scheduled to start a jury trial for a brain damaged and injured woman who was taken in by a contractor who sold her a lot of land for $100,000, promised to build her a house for $180,000. She gave him $120,000, got the property into her name, and then the contractor never came through. He's saying it's because she couldn't make up her mind about details. She's saying he disappeared. And we're actually doing a videotape deposition of her neurologist April 11th, and it'll be an interesting case. But if you think about it, it's not something you'd want to throw a student in on. But I'll let you do as much as you can. And actually, this summer it's mostly 1L, so there'll be somebody second chairing it, and the others can sit and watch. That's probably enough about that clinic. I'll tell you now about street law. We have traditionally offered street law. It is 4 credits. I think it's 2 credits, pretty sure. And Megan Dorsey has taught that in the past. It's a different type of clinic because you don't have clients. You don't have live clients. But what you do is you prepare educational materials, which involves your researching and learning both substantive law and procedure in an area such as the rights of high school students to be free from search and seizure on high school grounds. And then you go out to a local high school and you teach. You present the information that you have assembled. So it's a way for you to learn a substantive area, learn how to impart information clearly and concisely to a group of high school students. Can't get a tougher audience than that. And you earn 2 credits in the process. That covers, I believe, all the clinical offerings. And I need to tell you one thing about a clinic you may have heard of, and that's the, in the past we have offered the administrative advocacy clinic. And many of you may have known that, and you knew it as a way to, you could satisfy your administrative process requirement by taking that clinic. After this semester, we're not going to be offering that clinic, at least for the time being. But it will not be, so it won't be offered in the fall. And just so you know, for planning purposes, if you had heard about that before, that's now off the table. So, how are we doing? I can take any questions at this point about clinics at all.
For your clinic, do you have to be a 1L or could you come in as a 2L?
Oh no, you don't have, no. You can be, as long as you finish your first year of law school, you got 2 semesters under your belt, you're eligible. I take 2 Ls and 3 Ls. Yeah. Yeah, it's not limited. Yes?
How many people do you usually take for the consumer and commercial?
Okay. They, we usually have 8 seats during the regular year, meaning spring and fall semesters. The summer, we sometimes do double sections, if you will. So we may, and stay tuned on this because I don't have somebody lined up yet. There may be 2 sections this summer, which would mean we'd have 16 seats. Otherwise, we would only have 8. But I'm working on trying to find somebody to teach it with me this summer, so we could have more seats for you. Now, the one thing nuts and bolts thing I didn't tell you was the cost, because you do pay to take the courses in the summer. It's a regular course fall and spring. And I tried to, whatever the per credit charge is, you take that number and you multiply it by the number of credits for the particular clinic you're taking.
It's $13.30.
All right, there you go. $13.30 per credit. So you do the math. It's either a 4-credit clinic, if you're doing consumer commercial, intellectual property and business. It'd be 5 credits for the criminal practice. And Stan, you said yours was 4.
Yeah.
So there you go. Do the math on that. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you give preference to students that have taken you for consumer law and bankruptcy?
If there is more demand than seats, it's out of my hands. It's lottery, except 3Ls get preference. I would, if you've taken my consumer law and bankruptcy, I would love to have you in the clinic, but I can't override the system. But yeah, no, unfortunately, I can't do that. To play by the rules. Question. Anybody want to know about the soda can case?
Yeah.
What happened? First of all, does anybody know what went wrong with the cans? Now that you've all finished your soda, I can tell you.
Are they too thin?
It wasn't they're too thin. What turns out that soda is pretty caustic. Those of you who might have had the high school coach who was trying to discourage you from drinking Coke when you were trying to lose weight for wrestling, and he went out and poured it on the bumper of your car and you can take rust off with it, it's very caustic. These cans, including the ones that I see around here, actually have plastic linings so that the soda doesn't eat through the aluminum. And if you were to look at one of these really closely, you would see that the bottoms were eaten through. The question is, how did that happen if they're plastic coated? Well, the answer is, when they were loaded into the container to go on the ship, some ruptured. Either the forklift was a little too aggressive, or they punctured some, and once the soda got on the outside of the can, it ate its way back in, I guess, to join its friends. It chewed its way through the aluminum. Those cans burst, spreading more soda, and it was a domino effect. But then, of course, the question is, whose fault is that? And you guys you're having sales, well, some of you are having sales now, and some of you had it in an earlier year. You should be thinking, warranty, of suitability maybe, or merchantability. How about merchantability? Because part of the sale is the container, you might remember. And so whose fault is that, though? So we had to analyze all these things, like did our client actually tell the selling us stuff that it was going to Africa by steamer for 21 days, jostling on the seas. Because if he had, maybe the seller would have said plastic. So anyway, anyway, the way this thing worked out, the client actually got all his money back. We settled the case, and I couldn't exactly tell you why, because my assessment was that it was a loser, but you never know. That's the thing about litigation. All right, are there any other questions then about any of the clinics? Anything I can tell you about summer, winter? Well, if not, thank you very much for coming.